Some people just don't understand boundaries. Legal, personal, or physical. And unfortunately for me, one of those people happened to be the HOA president for the upscale neighborhood that got built next to my family's ranch. Let me tell you how Karen McAllister, self-declared queen of the Cedar Ridge HOA, ended up surrounded by federal agents on a quiet Tuesday morning, all because she couldn't keep her nose out of a locked safe. I own 80 acres just outside of town. It's been in the family for generations, and while the suburbs have been creeping in, my land has always stayed unincorporated and fully private. No HOA, no rules, just fields, sheds, and the occasional rusted-out truck waiting to be fixed someday. A few years ago, Cedar Ridge popped up on the west side of my property, a gated community with Spanish-tiled roofs and Teslas in every driveway. And at the helm was Karen, a woman who once tried to fine me $150 for aesthetically disruptive fencing because my barbed wire didn't match her stucco perimeter wall. I laughed and tossed her letter in my burn barrel. But Karen doesn't give up. She'd file complaints with the city, accuse me of illegal burning, say my security cameras were facing her property. She even once told me my horses were undocumented livestock. Things came to a head last month when I had a gun safe delivered to the ranch, a big industrial one, tucked into my detached workshop. I run a licensed firearms safety program for ranchers, law enforcement, and vets. Everything's above board, regularly audited, and compliant with federal regs. But Karen didn't know that. She saw the safe being delivered by two guys in tactical gear and assumed I was turning my shop into a black market weapons depot. How do I know that? Because 2 days later, I got an alert on my phone. One of my cameras picked up motion inside the workshop while I was in town. I raced back, and what I saw nearly made me run off the road. Karen, inside, wearing latex gloves and pacing around my workshop, one hand on her hip, the other turning the dial on my gun safe. I stayed back, called 911, and let the camera record. Within seconds of failing to open the safe, she pulled out her phone and actually called 911 herself. I later got the transcript. Yes, I'm in a neighbor's workshop. He has a weapons cache like a vault. I'm trying to secure it before he returns. I think he's trafficking something. You need to send ATF or the FBI. Quickly. She hung up, calm as ever, and went back to fidgeting with the safe. Unfortunately for her, she had no idea what was actually inside that safe. See, I had just finished a federally sanctioned program test and temporarily stored several prototype tracking devices and encrypted comms modules that belonged to the U.S. Marshals Task Force, waiting to be picked up later that day. And yes, the safe had a discrete federal trace beacon, activated by unauthorized tampering. Exactly 45 seconds after she placed that 911 call, two black SUVs screeched into my driveway, tires throwing gravel, followed by a white van with no plates. Karen barely turned around before she was surrounded by 6 federal agents with tactical gear, shouting commands. She dropped her phone. Then she wet herself. Turns out, tampering with federally tracked equipment is a major felony. And being inside a building you weren't invited into, that's breaking and entering. I arrived just in time to see her in handcuffs, face ghost white as she tried to explain she was protecting the community. One of the agents turned to me and said, she thought she was stopping a gun runner. Instead, she walked into a federal op and just triggered a surveillance beacon. They hauled her off. Later, I was informed she was facing charges for unlawful entry, interfering with federal property, and impersonating a law enforcement officer. The Cedar Ridge HOA had an emergency meeting that night. Karen was removed from her post. Publicly, they called it a retirement for health reasons. Privately, half the board thanked me for finally getting rid of her. As for my workshop, it's now got motion-triggered alarms, a reinforced lock, and a new plaque above the door. Warning: premises may contain federal equipment. Trespassers will meet the real authority. Some people learn boundaries the hard way. Karen? She learned them with handcuffs and a court summons.